Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Balls of Dad podcast. This is the first official episode of the Balls of Dad podcast. No, we do not know what it means. If you would like to send a message out to us, we will graciously talk to you about what the name means. But with me today are the other host, Mr. Zane. How are you doing today?
Greetings and salutations from the fifth dimension. I'm doing fabulous.
Fifth dimension. We will also talk later about how you made it there and how everything's going in the fifth
It
dimension.
was a hell of a trip, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's good. That's good. And also with us, Mr. Liam. How are you?
I'm doing good, Austin. How are you today?
I am doing peachy. I just made it back home from work. Feeling good. Feeling good. So, this is a thing we've kind of talked about that we're going to start doing is we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes, just depends on how long the discussion goes, I'm sorry, before we get into the actual topics. Talk about, each of us are going to bring about what's happening in the news. I know if you don't want to listen to it, you can skip. We'll throw a time up on there on the screen. But the biggest news in the sports world, that's kind of my main gist of things. I pay attention to ESPN. Right now, TCU and Georgia are playing in the national championship that is currently happening as we are recording. I do not know when kickoff is, but we will find out. I'll keep updates. I'll keep updates through that. And also, we had seen that Damar Hamlin, the safety for the Buffalo Bills, is actually being released from the hospital today. And we were kind of talking about it earlier, saying,
yeah, we were
about the kind of the pros and cons if he was able to come back. And honestly, I don't think him coming back and playing is a good idea.
I don't see that happening personally, but I definitely do see the possibility where the team will try and pull it as a PR stunt to maybe just have him there in name at most.
I could see that, and that's what I was kind of thinking about earlier. If he does and he's able to come back and he's able to play, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Good on him if he does.
But he went into cardiac arrest on the field.
Right.
And now you've got to think, as an organization, the Buffalo Bills, do we want to risk the chance of it happening again?
Right, exactly. What's the likelihood of this reoccurring, right?
And it's not just necessarily him. Now the NFL is going to have to go through, and they're going to do a whole entire another safety check on everybody.
Exactly.
Because
one more test they got to do.
It happened. I was actually sitting there watching it with my girlfriend when it happened. It was a very scary sight in the sports world. You never want to see a player go down, especially like that.
Yeah.
And
the game was on hold for what, a little over an hour before they finally called it, right?
Oh, they suspended the game after whenever the medical staff had came out and they noticed what was going on. So the NFL just said, "All right, we're done." Which that is the best way to handle it, because one, you're not gonna stick players out there who basically just watched another player. They didn't know necessarily what was going on at the time,
right?
But you're not gonna have bad of that injury at the time. You're not gonna stick. Your guys are not gonna play it right. They're gonna have that on their mind the whole entire time. So,
and that goes for both teams too.
Oh yeah, no, they were both shaken, because you never want to see that happen.
No.
I don't necessarily know when the last time it's happened. It's happened before, where a player has actually died on the field. It was a long time ago. But I think that's one of the things that were great that he is, I feel good that he's better. Because, I've had my hand in the world of football forever. I used to coach high school football. You never want to see that out of a player. Doesn't matter who you like, what team you hate. At the end of the day, you don't want to see somebody, especially on national TV, go down like that.
Right. So I got it right here. Charles Frederick Hughes born March 2nd, 1943, died October 24th, 1971, as a wide receiver on the field was the last time a player died on the field.
Did it say like what team he was playing for or organization?
So he played for the Philadelphia Eagles from 67 to 69, and then he transferred from Detroit Lions and only got to play one season with them. And his second season was when he died on the field. He got to play the 1970 season, and he died on the field in 1971.
Wow, that is just one of those things.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a crazy occurrence.
he was number 85, and it says here he was put into the Athletes Hall of Fame in 2006, as well as his number 85 for the Detroit Lions was retired.
That's a good way. I mean, that's a good way to honor somebody.
It literally played their heart out.
I was looking, and it doesn't have a cause of death. It just says when he died. I was looking for that.
They may have
Just-
not have it. They may not have it on record of how
That
he
that
died.
too, because medical professionals have came a long way.
But
The funny part is, I'm reading here more. The game was against the Buffalo Bills.
that's crazy. That is crazy.
Damn, it looks
Lightning
like the
strikes.
Bills just has a bad streak in regards to health.
The player safety. That is my dog's barking. I'm sorry. Other than that,
I see.
Mm.
Okay, so a little bit further on, it says he had a spleen injury
ooh,
that never fully recovered, and
oof.
that was what ended up causing him to die on the field.
Oh god, that's
Yeah, that's not good.
no. Well, I mean, besides
Yeah,
sports,
he died doing what he loved, I guess.
besides
There's worse
sports,
ways to go.
Yeah. Besides sports, what other topics or news that you boys would like to bring to the table?
Well, I mean, I'm not certain if we're allowed to talk about it, because guidelines regarding different social medias that we may post this to, and I may have to cut this out, but there is a brand new variant of coronavirus called XBB 1.5.
Boy, that sounds like it's made in a lab in Resident Evil.
And it is allegedly the most transmissible variant thus far.
So is
I don't
the
know about
common
you
cold
boys, but
sore.
it's about time to put on our tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
That's what
I
it
mean-
sounds like with all this new COVID again.
Boy, that seems to be a lot of, strains of sickness when certain people, certain parties are in power.
Like the Democrats and Joe Biden.
Yeah. Them.
Yeah, no sugarcoating it for you.
Yeah. I've
We
always
deal in
noticed that.
bittersweet truths.
So you remember, and this was a while back, and I don't remember if you guys knew this or not. You remember H1N1?
Yes,
Who was in office?
100%.
Who was in office? Barack Obama was in office.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta remember my timeline because my that is one thing that I'm not good at is keeping timelines in check. But yeah, it was roughly 2008, 2010.
Yeah. In between there, we like to research things. We're not going to research everything. So if you believe us, great. If you don't, look it up because we believe what we're saying.
And we're always willing to discuss anything that we talk about with our viewers.
This is an open
because-
platform.
Anything, any sort of topics or corrections that you may have, so long as you have the evidence to back it up, we're 100% willing to take it into consideration and address it in the next episode. Or
That's right. I'd gladly be able to talk to you about it and prove you wrong.
So, also too, this podcast is not centralized around that. We will have that as a small section of the podcast. We're not the change my mind guy. That's not us.
yeah, no.
That's not how this podcast is gonna run.
Not at all.
But it
Because you're
will
not
be.
gonna.
What topics would you boys like to talk about today? Who would like to go first?
I want to go first.
Alrighty.
All right. So, as y'all might have heard, I'm not too sure because it's been popularized in the news. So we have just successfully done the first fusion reaction where we have put in less energy than we have gotten out. So if you're unsure what a fusion reaction is where we take two smaller particles and make them a bigger particle.
I actually did see that in the news earlier.
I figured you would have.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I am with nuclear energy. It's
right.
always fun.
Can you link it to Discord?
Right.
Yeah, I'll pull it up and send it in the Discord so you can.
I
check it
actually already have it. I will put it in there. Let's see here. So there's two things I'd like to put into the Discord right fast. Is the actual article that was published, and to a little timeline that of like the whole past, because obviously their first fusion reaction wasn't successful, as successful, should I say. It was still successful fusion reaction, just not as energy efficient, should I say. There we go. So that first one should be the timeline, and the second link there y'all see should be the actual article, and we'll have these linked down below, of course.
Audio listeners love you to death. You can't see this right now, but
right.
I am looking currently at a Wikipedia site, so I'm gonna change all of your timeline if you'd like me to.
It's alright. Go for it.
I'm good. This spans from
all the way from the 1920s
yeah.
all the way to current, to like a couple weeks ago.
So what was so notable about it? Enlighten me.
So, all your sci-fi like movies of like fusion has this as like your golden child of renewable energy, right? The idea of it is, as long as we can keep sustainable fusion reactions occurring, we can take the energy, as long as we can get more energy out than we put in, should I say, there we go, then it's a sustainable source, as long as we keep giving it fuel, which fortunately, whenever it fuses two atoms together, those atoms aren't always going to stay together. They're going to eventually break down into more fuel that we can then feed back into the loop. Unfortunately, nature being nature, you're never going to get 100% of the fuel back, but it is far more sustainable and cleaner than anything we're going to have, probably until we hit like dark matter or like a Dyson sphere, maybe even.
And
which, if you go ahead.
Austin, to put this into a perspective that I think that you're a little more familiar with, you're familiar with the Fallout universe, yes?
Yes, and I'm glad that you're simplifying things for me. I understood what you meant, Zane, but I would like to hear this theory then.
Okay.
So this is the entire premise behind like the fusion cells that are able to run things like the power armor or your heavy weapons. Because as we see in Fallout 4, it was originally designed to run their entire buildings. Because all you need is the initial fuel and occasional refuels.
That's correct. But I believe the next milestone we're going to be able to reach in this, we successfully got more energy out than we put in. But now we're going to be challenged to not only make a fusion reaction that is self-sustaining, but also a fusion reaction that's not going to go out of control. And we're going to have to, of course, in cases where it does go out of control, have safety measures.
Unlike Chernobyl.
Well, the problem with Chernobyl is Chernobyl safety measures failed. That was why Chernobyl happened.
Yeah.
Well, another issue with Chernobyl is they specifically went, let's get this as fast as we can. And they completely went over on all safety precautions. And they did not do anything like by the book in regards to that.
Which
Heaven
bringing up Chernobyl is a
somebody
good
doesn't
point.
wear a hard hat.
Yes, the hard hat is where we went wrong.
Yes, of course.
But good thing you brought up Chernobyl, because obviously we've all seen what can happen on normal nuclear reactors, right? What we have today, which uses fission, which is the breakdown of particles, right? The meltdown causes massive amounts of radiation and environmental effects, right? Of course. Pretty much the exact opposite is what would happen if a fusion reactor meltdown happened, which would be pretty much a detonation of a thermonuclear device, because that's what a thermonuclear device is. It's a fusion bomb instead of a fission bomb, which is your stereotypical atomic device you would see like in like a World War II movie or something.
Yeah, that is the premise behind the H bomb or the hydrogen bomb.
Yes.
It's the reason why it's called that.
Right. Which the hydrogen bomb uses deuterium, which is two hydrogens put together with a additional proton on it, which is why it's called deuterium. It actually has a mass of, it's a hydrogen with a mass of 2 instead of mass of 1. Which you can have deuterated other things as well, but the H bomb and the thermonuclear devices you typically see uses deuterium as its fuel source.
Interesting. Well, any other side notes to that before we move on?
Not
particularly. I just wanted to bring it up and made it aware how not only important this was of a breakthrough, but also the possible steps forward, and I think we touched on that.
Well, Mr. Lim, would you like to go next?
I have lost my
Interesting.
I have lost my website that had my notes.
Okay. Well, I will go next then. I will let you find your notes. So, what I want to talk about was kind of not necessarily what's happening today, but what happened in the past. Specifically in the past, in 1647, to be exact. Did you guys know that in 1647, in Britain, they banned Christmas?
Interesting.
Very.
That seems like a power play.
Right?
It definitely was. It was banned by Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell was the 17th century Grinch who stole Christmas, as they put in this. The England Civil War was over in 1647. Charles I was imprisoned at Hampton Court at the Church of England, had replaced by Presbyterian system, if I said that correctly, a religious order founded with the Church of Scotland. Christmas had already been outlawed in 1640, and it was similar story in 1647 when a law made its way through Parliament banning festivals over Christmas, Easter, and White Sun, whatever that is. So in effect, they have a whole entire YouTube video of this and everything. Ultimately, the move was a disaster. when riots in Norwich, which led to 40 deaths, and in Kent, pro-royalist rebels became involved, in which sparked a major instruction. I can't say that word.
Insurrection.
There you go, you smart bastard. In 1648, which gave the rise to the Second Civil War in England. They got pissed because they couldn't have Christmas, so they started a second Civil War, which resulted in the execution of King Charles I in 1649. And I promise you, when they were about to perform the execution, somebody whispered in King Charles' ear, "Merry Christmas," and then sliced his head. What do you think about that? Like, go ahead.
The specific holidays that they targeted. I mean, obviously this was, back in the 17th century, and as such, it was a much different world than today. But I couldn't imagine a country like Britain taking that too well. Just
No, especially with like the Civil War going on and everything. I linked it in the audio or the Discord. I'm sorry. It's just very interesting because to me, like, Christmas is, everybody celebrates Christmas. When we had the Revolutionary War, or not the Revolutionary War, I'm sorry, the Civil War. In the middle of all that, they stopped fighting and had Christmas. But to pass a law through Parliament to say, you know what, fuck Christmas, fuck Easter, and fuck White Sun, whatever that is, I have no idea what that is.
I believe they're referring to Beltane, which was a little festival in between. I say little. It was a festival between like spring, so like March 21st and June 21st.
So actually, it's funny that you said that because I was curious and I looked it up. So Whitsun can also be called Whitsunday. So it's like Sunday, but with Whit in front of it, Whitsunday, or Whit Sunday with a space in between. It's spelled the same way, but with a space. Fancy, right? Is a holiday. It's a Christian holiday, high holiday of Pentecost. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's really too celebrated here in the States, but apparently it's Sunday, May 28th this year.
I could see why the Presbyterians did not care for it.
Yeah. Apparently it's only observed by Ireland and the United Kingdom and like two other former colonies of the United Kingdom.
Well, that is... There's just a lot of weird, like, laws that get made for no damn reason. Like, there's a reason behind it, but it's such a minute, like, one person.
Right? Kind of like why silencers are illegal to have without a tax stamp in the United States. Do you know the story of why you can't have silencers?
Why is that?
So back in the 20s, 30s, when mobsters were a real bad thing in the United States, they were getting like Tommy guns and stuff, and grease guns and fully automatic weapons because there was no laws against it. And when the Congress and Senate put into effect a law stopping the sale of automatic weapons to civilians, the silencer was a fairly new thing, like brand new, like within a year of this bill being passed, and it just got lumped in. No reason whatsoever. It was new, so they just threw it in there. And that's why we can't have silencers.
Interesting.
Yep, stupid.
Well, That is a very. They tried to do every single thing to prevent you from having any. If it involves a gun, their buttholes like tighten up and they go, nope, nope. We're gonna
Well, of
do
course.
we're gonna do every single thing to make sure that you cannot hold that gun because, boy, it's kind of hard to defend yourself.
Exactly. How can we take back our freedom if, we don't
We
have
don't.
the ammunition to do so,
That's in France, right? Where they're not allowed to have guns.
There's a couple countries that are like really no guns, like at all. Did you see
Japan.
Canada? Japan's real bad. Australia's real bad. Australia, you would think, a continent literally filled with convicts. That's how they got their population there. It's nigh impossible for you to own a gun there. Did you see Canada? They just passed a bill where I don't know if they talked about it. I don't know if they passed it yet or not, but I think it's set to pass soon, if not. Where basically if it's not a breech load gun, you're pretty much, you can't have it.
Wow.
It's so bad that they're banning calibers, not types of weapons, not certain attachment. They're banning calibers. And if you get caught with that, you have to turn your gun in. If you get caught with that caliber weapon, it's like jail time. Fine with jail time.
It's interesting that you speak about Canada because I was actually watching. Have you seen anything about the, like, not necessarily debates that they do, but you know how the United States, they every time like the House speaks, they're about to vote on passing, this bill or that bill, and it's put on TV.
Right.
So Canada does the same thing, and their House was speaking, and basically the representative who is essentially against the socialism that they have in their country, and yes, it is socialism. I don't care what anybody says. They will tell you that they are a socialist country.
Yep.
Socialism has hardly worked anywhere.
It's not even working there.
No,
you gotta wait a year and a half to get an MRI scan.
I love what he was asking about was he was speaking to a person who basically gives statistics throughout the, like, what housing cost and everything. They were talking, the main thing was housing cost, and he had said, hey, I would like the person who does the statistics, who is here representing, to essentially give me the average rate of what a home costs, an average house in, I don't remember what city he had said. I think he said like Toronto. I believe that's what he had said. And the guy stood up and said, well, since this, this new group, I don't remember what their names are. They have some weird, funky names over there, has taken over office. Job rates have skyrocketed, and then sat down. And then he got back up. He said, how much does a house cost? He got up and he started talking about how, like, more things have improved since the new power has taken over. And he stood up and he said, okay, well, can you tell me how much a house cost? And they went back and forth, and he would just literally stand up and go, just tell me how much a house cost. Tell me how much it cost. And the guy would never tell him how much the house had cost. And he said, you guys are just trying to keep every single thing, kept from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I promise you this, just because you won't tell me on TV how much a house cost, I'll go down the street and talk to a homeowner, and they can tell me. But you, sitting right here, who does the statistics for literally just a human in general, will not sit there and tell the people of Canada that how much average of housing has went up, how much gas has went up, how much literally buying anything has went up. But you'll sit here and tell us how much jobs went up. Jobs can go up as much as they want, but if everything's following it, and not declining, then there's your problem.
Right.
Everybody can have a job, but if they can't afford anything, then what's the point of having the job?
Right.
So, I'm sorry that I just went on a big rant there.
But ended up in Canada, out of all places.
Of course.
No, you're good. And I did have a little bit follow-up information regarding this. So, and I'm going to just give their, and this is on the Public Safety Government Canada website regarding the C-21 bill. Here's their to combat firearms trafficking and smuggling and increase law enforcement capacity to combat firearms violence. The government is proposing the following amendments. Increase the maximum penalties from 10 to 14 years imprisonment for firearm-related offenses. Authorize wiretaps for 2 firearms offenses. To make it
So they get wiretapped?
What the heck, man?
What? Like, are you like some like CIS type of thing where they go in with like wires and
CIS.
stuff, trying to get audio?
CIA? I don't know.
try
CIS.
try
don't
the legal authorization to be able to listen into your phone calls.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Actual wiretapping.
Oh, well, I mean, they're gonna do that anyway. Why make it like
Because
legal?
anything that they hear over an authorized wiretap, they can use as evidence in a court of law to try you again.
That is
Well, I
true.
mean, like if they hear anything they don't like, they're just gonna Epstein you anyway.
So we also have they want to make it an offense to alter a cartridge magazine to exceed its lawful capacity, and specifically for this offense to allow wiretaps if you get caught for that offense. You have to and then let's see, there was more down here. Oh, prohibit all handgun transfers to individuals.
Interesting.
Preventing I think it was up here. There's a national freeze on the sale, purchase, and transfer of handguns by individuals within Canada and bringing newly acquired handguns into Canada. And that's been in effect by as of October 21st. And you have to register everything. The only exemptions to this is anyone who holds an authorization to carry handguns, which is they don't specify who can give that. And then individuals who train, compete, or coach in handgun shooting on an international Olympic committee.
Okay. Let's not move to Canada.
Agreed.
Nope. Canada equals bad. Let's move to Switzerland, where like they have the highest guns per person in the world.
Then do you ever hear any problems in Switzerland?
No.
Okay. The Swiss
Not-
have got it figured out.
I mean, to be
Is
fair,
it-
I also don't speak to many Swiss citizens.
Me either.
So
Swiss is the country that has like all their infrastructure rigged to explode in case of an invasion, right? Pretty sure it's the Swiss.
if so,
Possibly.
this is the first I've heard of it.
What time are we sitting at right now?
So current runtime is approximately 34 minutes.
Okay. Well, I think we have enough time to squeeze in your topic, Sir Lim.
Yes, it is.
Alright.
It is the Swiss, by the way. It is the Swiss.
Okay.
All right. So I'm pretty sure everyone here remembers the year of 2020.
Up, dog?
Roughly around this time of the year, a specific event that I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to reference specifically in the podcast. Well, apparently it's inspired a different country to follow similar protests. The January 6th protest.
January 6th. Oh, when they stormed the Capitol.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yes, so we have inspired another country in following the method of protest in the fact that Brazil is currently having ongoing protests regarding alleged election fraud by blocking roads and highways in the country, and they are rejecting the current election result and are calling for a coup or a federal or military intervention, preventing the inauguration of the new elected president.
Interesting.
Dang.
Dang, Brazil.
So, continuing on with the Brazilian election protests, as of Monday, more than 1,500 of the previous president's followers, the Bolsonaristas, as I am seeing this, they are referred to in media accounts. Yeah, over 1,500 were rounded up in Brazil after storming the capital. So, at least Brazil is better at their, the police side of it, rather than letting people just walk straight in and opening the door for them.
That was our biggest problem. Like, my biggest problem with protests, and especially protests that get kind of out of hand, of like looting, neighborhoods that you live in. That's my biggest thing. Like, I understand the Capitol. We pay for it. Why can't we walk in and say hi? Why can't we walk in and see what's happening? We pay for the damn thing.
We paid them.
Exactly.
I believe the only exception, and I don't really think it's an exception, I think it's a reasonable rule, that keeping the public out of the Supreme Courtroom makes sense. Because if someone is if the Supreme Court is going to be ruling either to or against a case for you, having public information on the setups would make certain terroristic acts, such as bombings or anything along the lines, a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, but I mean, just like a president is replaceable, so is all the justices, right?
We're straying. We're straying off of what's good or bad. I don't know.
I just feel like there's I do understand your point of like the terroristic, actions and stuff,
Yeah.
right? But on that same note, then why are anyone besides press allowed at like presidential speeches and stuff? Because that's like a whole bigger, level picture. Like is there 8 or 9? There's 9 judges, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 9 judges. There's 1 president. There's 1.
Correct. But
then why do we not have it where, like, I mean, especially in today's age, there's no excuse for it, because everyone has a social media outlet. TV, computer, phone.
Because
they can watch
so here's the only thing that I'm going to say to that, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm incorrect in my information, but the person who submits the new justices to potentially be entered into the Supreme Court is solely the president. He doesn't solely decide who goes.
Right,
I
but
don't
he's
believe.
the one who submits. Right, yes.
Correct. So, at least in another country, I'm not going to say that this would happen in ours or that it's possible, but say some big event happens and all 9 Supremes end up severely injured or can't continue their work for whatever reason. It's like we have a backup line for the president down like 9 different lines.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that for the Supreme Justices.
Because then, thus, the president would have to submit another form to bring upon somebody else to the Supreme Court.
And that would be, say some big tragedy did occur, that would be 9 people for a particular party or mindset to be able to submit.
Yeah. And it has to be passed not just solely through the president, but through the judicial system and the other one. Well, I can't remember what it's called.
Legislative.
Yes. And, nowadays we can't agree on anything, so we would be stuck in limbo at the Supreme Court. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm about to get off topic here. Not necessarily off topic, but I feel like our country is at the biggest divide that we've had in a while. It's because certain groups like it divided. The liberal media enjoys the division that we have because they can talk about it all the time. The biggest cash cow we have is media right now.
I mean, used to was cash crops, and
That's true.
That's how the that's how the country was run. And nowadays, it's cash media.
Yep. Corn ain't telling you how to run your life. It's the media that tells you how to run your life. They tell you what's wrong
in their laws.
Yep. The government regulates every single thing that we do. Every single thing that we do. Something gets passed through the government.
Speaking of regulation, did you see California? If you have a well, that thing that on your property that you're getting water from on your property, not from anywhere else, but your property, you have to now have a meter that reads how much water you pull from the ground, and you have to pay for your own water now out of a well in California.
Well, it's not like they're collecting too much rain out there anyway. So.
I'll be damned if someone were to come onto my property and tell me that I have to regulate or they have to monitor the water that is coming off of my property.
Well, you want to live in glorious, sunshiny California that costs you, $1 million a month to sleep in a box next to 20 other people. You just gotta abide by their rules. Because, honestly, California is just, I don't know, California is like its own beast. It's its own entity. It's like Ohio. It's its own entity.
California has more debt per capita than any other state.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't... How much is the average gas price right now in California?
Let me check.
Add on top of that, what is the average housing rent cost?
Oh, like
Average-
3,500.
According to AAA, average gas price in California is
I got $4.42 to $4.61
That's ridiculous.
versus here in Arkansas, where I am. Let's see here. In Arkansas, it's
296.
296
In
is
Oklahoma,
what I'm seeing in Arkansas.
right now in Stillwater, I just passed the gas station today. I just said where I live. It doesn't matter. The Walmart, the gas price at Walmart was $2.45.
Well, average in Oklahoma is 293 or 292.5.
Okay, that is Oklahoma City and Tulsa for
So-
you right there. So that is what that is.
So I got for rent, on the other hand, in California, the average in August of 2021, right? So this is gonna be the increase. This is the percentage increase from 2021 to 2022. So in August of 21, it was $2,200. In 2022, it went up almost $500 to $2,686 a month.
And what is
That's
the
an increase of 22%.
What is the average pay per hour? Hello?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
The minimum wage, the minimum wage is $15.50. Let's see here. Says average salary is about $62,000.
Which is
So,
$30 an hour.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why do you think a lot of people from California are coming to Texas? Austin is just a hub of It's like
that's why it's so
Syrian. It's like
democratic.
Syrian refugees, all just taking over. Austin, Texas. It is the most liberal area of Texas, and is also the capital. A lot of what I've noticed, a lot of streamers are moving from California to Texas. Speaking about, there was a woman that bought our friend. I'm not going to say his name. He's also another good friend of ours who lived in Tulsa. When he had to move to Pennsylvania, he had to sell his house. Well, a woman from California swooped up and bought it, like the next day when it was on the market. Like, just straight up bought it. Because it's cheaper to live in southern states right now.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Imagine you sell your little shitty home, like 1,700 square foot in California. That little home goes for 400, 500,000. You move almost anywhere else besides like New York City or like a big city, right?
Mhm.
And you're looking at a house that's a third to half the size bigger, and you're getting it for half the price you just sold your house for.
Yeah. I had excuse me, I'm sorry. So there was, when I used to change oil, there was a guy that came in all the time. He built houses. That was his thing. That was his job. He took over the company from his dad, and he built a nice house for him and his wife and his kids. And he noticed the market was going up, and he had just built this house. He probably lived in it for a year. And he was like, well, you know what? I'm going to put my house on Facebook Marketplace just to see. He said, I'm going to throw a number that nobody's going to take and just see if somebody bites at it. This is a 3-story house that he had built.
Dang. You don't see many of those around this area.
No. 3-story house. He throws it out on Facebook Marketplace. and somebody from California called him up, said, "I'd like to come take a look at the house." And he said, "Are you sure for the price?" And they said, "Oh yeah, that's a great price." And he said, "Okay." And as you know, they came and showed up. He still hasn't told his wife that somebody's coming out to look at their house, which is hilarious there. They walk in, look at the house, and they go, "This is such a wonderful place. We will take the house." And he said, "All right, you know what? Let me let me finally tell my wife that I'm selling my house." And they go, "Well, we want everything in the house." And he said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Anything that is on the floor, we want it. Or is attached to the wall, besides pictures of you and your clothes, we want." And he said, "Well, I'm going to have to up the offer." And they said, "Well, how much do you want to up it by?" And he said, "Well, considering everything in this house I bought, I'll go another extra $50K on it for everything in the house."
Dang.
And they go, "Okay, that's fine." He ended
California
up
people are built different.
selling the house for $1.1 million.
Dang.
Yes. A
That
house
Insane.
in Liberty, Oklahoma. You guys have been in and out of Liberty before, right? Lim, you have
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
That is on the top of the mountain. I will tell you the guy's name later after the podcast. You may know who he is. But it's like on top of the mountain. It's that really, I don't know, I'm sure you've seen it. You've been by WW a couple times. You know
Yeah.
that house that has like the big gate? The big automatic gate, like it looks like you're about to go into like a castle almost.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. He bought that land for cheap, built that house on there. And so, last I heard, he was living in a fifth wheel trailer with his family, and he was just driving through Liberty, and he found a for sale sign on some land and said, "I'll take it. I'm gonna build a house here."
I mean, whenever you pretty much double the amount that you spent on construction and everything else,
Yeah,
it
of course.
yeah.
What is the runtime at, good sir?
So we are currently sitting at 55 minutes.
Well, I will say this will, if y'all are fine with this too, conclude the first episode of The Balls of Dad. I think we got into some interesting topics. Catch us next week. Y'all have a good one. Peace.